Is this idea American or authoritarian?
We ought to come up with legislation that if you burn the American flag, you go to jail for 1 year. 1 year. You know, they talk about freedom of speech, and I'm a big believer in freedom of speech, but that's desecration. That's a terrible thing they do. We should have legislation that if somebody wants to burn the American flag and stomp on it, but just burn it, they go to jail for 1 year, okay?
Some people call it American. I call it authoritarian because as of today, if you exercise your right to express your outrage at a bloated, pedophile-protecting, warmongering, Zio-infested and supporting government by burning an American flag. Not doing anything else, just burning the American flag. The full power of the Attorney General shall be prioritized, aligned, and unleashed against you, and you will be prosecuted under Donald Trump's new executive order. Let's just listen to it in his own words.
It's an executive order on flag burning. It charges your attorney general.
Would you listen to this? This is very important. Flag burning. All over the country, they're burning flags. All over the world, they burn the American flag. And as you know, through a very sad court, I guess it was a 5-4 decision, they called it freedom of speech. But there's another reason, which is perhaps much more important. It's called death. Because what happens when you burn a flag is the area goes crazy. If you have hundreds of people, they go crazy. You can do other things. You can burn this piece of paper. But when you burn the American flag, it incites riots.
So just to put this in other words, if you exercise your freedom to self-expression and through self-expression you burn an American flag and other people go crazy, you are responsible for the actions of others. You're responsible for making other people go crazy. If you exercise your rights, let's expand that out. Let's say you're exercising your right to carry your AR-15 or AK-47 slung over your back in a state where it's, say constitutional carry, and everybody else goes crazy. Well, if you apply the same standard, since you made everybody go crazy, you made everybody gum up the 911 emergency line, you made police come out, you gave people cause for concern, and because of that, we're going to make it illegal to do that. Or because you were recording a bank on a public sidewalk, we are now going to take your rights away because everybody else was freaked out that you were exercising your rights on that public sidewalk. That's no different than you were exercising your right to burn an American flag. You weren't harming anybody. You weren't threatening to harm anybody. You weren't damaging property. You weren't stealing property and not paying it back. You were just exercising your right to burn an American flag. Well, we're going to have the full weight and power of the United States legal system come down upon you because you burn an American flag. And what this goon wants is he wants to put you in a cage for burning a piece of fabric. Most of that fabric was produced in China.
At levels that we've never seen before. People go crazy. In a way, both ways. There are some that are going crazy for doing it. There are others that are angry about them doing it. Do you want to discuss that?
Sure. So what the executive order does, sir, it charges your Department of Justice with investigating instances of flag burning, and then where there's evidence of criminal activity, where prosecution wouldn't fall afoul of the First Amendment, and instructs the Department of Justice to prosecute those who are engaged in these instances of flag burning.
And what the penalty is going to be, if you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. No early exits, no nothing.
By the way, the executive order, and stay tuned because we're going to read parts of that executive order. The executive order doesn't say anything anywhere about the penalty being 1 year in jail.
1 year in jail. If you burn a flag, you get, and what it does is incite to riot. I hope they use that language, by the way. Did they?
Yeah, incitement is
incite to riot. And you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. You don't get 10 years, you don't get 1 month. You get 1 year in jail. And it goes on your record. And you will see flag burning stopping immediately, just like when I signed the Statute and Monument Act. 10 years in jail if you hurt any of our beautiful monuments. Everybody left town. They were gone. Never had a problem after that. It's pretty amazing. We stopped it. But this is something that's, I don't know, in a certain way, it's equally as important. Some people would say it's more important because the people in this country don't want to see our American flag burned and spit on. And by people that are, in many cases, paid agitators.
I personally think it's stupid to burn an American flag. It's stupid to burn the flag of any country you happen to reside in. If you're an American and you're in Mexico and you're burning a Mexican flag, what do you think is going to happen? If you're in France and you burn the flag of France, what do you think is going to happen to you? People aren't going to take too kindly to that. Perception is everything. I'm not saying it's wrong to do that. I'm definitely not saying you should be placed in jail because of that. But what kind of consequences do you expect that's going to befall you when somebody is devoted to their beloved flag? It's just a stupid act.
They're paid by the radical left to do it. You talk to these people, they don't even know, half of them don't even know what they're doing. They say, I don't know. They gave me money to do this. I see the same things that you do. They're bad people. They're trying to destroy our nation. That's not working because I think our nation now is the most respected nation.
By the way, destroying a nation and burning an American flag are two different things. He specializes in conflating.
Anywhere in the world, by far. You saw that with the European leaders.
All right, here's the actual executive order from White House Gov. It's entitled Prosecuting Burning of the American Flag. It says, by the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, which is laughable and ironic. Our great American flag is the most sacred and cherished symbol of the United States of America and of American freedom, identity, and strength. Over nearly 2.5 centuries, many thousands of American patriots have fought, bled, and died to keep the stars and stripes waving proudly. They also fought, bled, and died to maintain freedoms that you just now signed an executive order to punish. The American flag is a special symbol in our nation's life and should unite and represent all Americans of every background and walk of life. Desecrating it is uniquely offensive and provocative. Newsflash for you, offensive and provocative speech is exactly the kind of free speech that's supposed to be protected by the First Amendment. Not just appeasing, agreeable, acceptable speech, but uniquely provocative and offensive. It is a statement of contempt, hostility, and violence against our nation. Not necessarily. It could just be a statement of contempt and hatred and outrage for the things the government does to the American people on a daily basis in the name of liberty. For example, supporting and continuing to fund the IRS, NASA, $69 million a day, the Federal Reserve, the income tax, property taxes. People are sick and tired of being pushed down and oppressed by tyrannical regimes, whether it's the rightist tyrannical regime or the leftist tyrannical regime. The clearest possible expression of opposition to the political union that preserves our rights, liberty, and security. Burning this representation of America may incite violence and riot. In other words, exercising your freedom of speech may incite violence or riot. So if we catch you expressing yourself in this way, we are going to punish you with a year of jail time, even though this executive order doesn't specifically identify any specific punishment. American flag burning is also used by groups of foreign nationals as a calculated act to intimidate and threaten violence against Americans because of their nationality and place of birth. Notwithstanding the Supreme Court's rulings on First Amendment protections, the court has never held that American flag desecration conducted in a manner that is likely to incite imminent lawless action or that is an action amounting to fighting words is constitutionally protected. My administration will act to restore respect and sanctity to the American flag and prosecute those who incite violence or otherwise violate our laws while desecrating the symbol of our country to the fullest extent permissible under any available authority. Is it possible for any law to restore respect and sanctity? Is it possible to legislate any kind of semblance of morality? The Attorney General shall prioritize the enforcement to the fullest extent possible of our nation's criminal and civil laws against acts of American desecration that violate applicable content-neutral laws while causing harm unrelated to expression consistent with the First Amendment. This may include, but is not limited to, so this leaves it wide open, violent crimes, hate crimes, illegal discrimination against American citizens, or other violations of American civil rights, and crimes against property and the peace, as well as conspiracies and attempts to violate and aiding and abetting others to violate such laws. You mean conspiracies like the conspiracy that is constantly laid against Americans by leftist governments and rightist governments? It says, to the maximum extent permitted by the Constitution, the Attorney General shall vigorously prosecute those who violate our laws in ways that involve desecrating the American flag, and may pursue litigation to clarify the scope of the First Amendment exceptions in this area. So he gives himself a little wiggle room there. And then check this out. The Secretary of State, the Attorney General, and the Secretary of Homeland Security, acting within their respective authorities, shall deny, prohibit, terminate, or revoke visas, residence permits, naturalization proceedings, and other immigration benefits, or seek removal from the United States pursuant to federal law whenever there's been an appropriate determination, and who's going to decide that foreign nationals have engaged in American flag desecration activity under circumstances that permit the exercise of such remedies pursuant to federal law. And honestly, if you're seeking naturalization, it would be absolutely stupid of you to go out and burn an American flag. Not because it's wrong, but because the government's going to perceive it as wrong and then say goodbye to the United States. So again, this executive order is titled Prosecuting Burning of the American Flag, otherwise known as Prosecuting Burning of a Product of China. That, my friends, is not liberty, it's tyranny. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comments section below. If you like these videos, maybe you'll like some of my others, like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, and I will see you in the next video.